Over the past few months, we've been covering the extensive fashion of Aikatsu Planet. The series uses Dressia as the inspiration for multiple outfits. It's been a pretty long journey, so I'm happy to finally cover Flower and Cosme. These will be our final types before wrapping up the anime content. The flower type is one of the simpler attributes, focusing on directly adapting the flowers into dresses. Much like the sweets type, this can result in pretty strong but literal designs. The premier Dressia is the rose. Luxury Rose is a beautiful rose creature with a rosy head and a blooming rose skirt. The level of detail is really impressive. The CG was really great in this series. Luxury Rose is a gorgeous pink outfit just brimming with rose detail. The pink crop top features pink rose decals on a golden stem. I also love the elegant pearls and the gold lined band. It pairs pretty well with the choker. Her skirt is a blooming pink rose with various shades and additional roses with green leaves. This gives the skirt a lot more color while also adding variety to the rose theme. Finally, I love all the delicate jewelry. The golden pearls add a touch of elegance to this natural wild outfit. It's a beautiful contrast that really stands out. Conceptually, I think they interpreted the rose in pretty interesting ways. Out of all the PR so far, it's probably the closest to Aikatsu's old design philosophy. Before the rare form, let's cover Rose Yggdrasil. This is the third and final Dressia up, which is inspired by the World Tree. This is possibly the wildest Aikatsu dress outside the sundress. I'm pretty amazed. The first thing I noticed were the tree branch wings. I love how these ground the palette with their muted color. The blooming roses and leaves are a nice touch too. The long green dress is also unique, featuring leaves, golden detail, and leafy textures. It's such a creative design. The golden heels are appropriately simple to keep the large dress in focus. The peach underskirt, branch wings, and golden heels are all important parts of balancing this amount of detail. As the final Dressia up, it's probably the best one. Rose Yggdrasil to the world. In true Planet fashion, the ultimate dress has a rare. It's a very bare dress, kinda like what Eve would wear. Due to how extreme Rose Yggdrasil was, I'm not surprised the rare looks so compressed and incoherent. Now let's move on to the other roses. They're all tight, short dresses with various flowery patterns. It's quite similar to the sexy type in Aikatsu. First, let's cover the rare form of Luxury Rose. The rare form of this dress is Divine. It's a hot pink dress with a rosy bust and golden detail. I love the simple palette and the chunky heels. The rose motif is maintained in the skirt shape, the additional roses, as well as the tiny thorns and petal details. Next up is Great, which is a gorgeous red recolor. It's probably my favorite for its rich shade of red. Graceful has an ornate rose texture that's balanced out by the simple sash. Despite that, it still comes off as pretty plain. Not as plain as Ikru though, which is a modest dress with a tame floral pattern. Finally, there's Bloom, which is a beautiful deep blue. I know it's simple too, but the detail feels more intentional. It's definitely a top tier Dressia. The next Dressia we meet is the Sunflower. I love its gentle eyes and how abstract the anatomy is. The flower ears, the floating tendrils, it's all so intriguing. I really love all the flower types. They're a very natural contrast to the more artificial Cosme with its geometric shapes. Look Sunflower is the main one, and it's a golden mini dress with golden pumps and delicate jewelry. The red and orange accents add some contrast, but the Dressia's concept is translated too directly. I appreciate the yellow sash on the bodice and the vibrant petal skirt, but it simply isn't enough. For a PR, I'm pretty disappointed. The rare form is much better. I think the Sunflower translates better to stripes, and the sunflower waist is a fun detail. The scalloped shape of the top and skirt have really fun rhythm, and I love that spotted texture. It is a very vibrant design. The remaining variants are organic, vivid, and evening. They're an interesting bunch, let's just say that. Organic has a gaudy print on the bodice and a pale lacy skirt. It is a very lazy choice, one that's repeated in Vivid's design. It feels like the most basic interpretation of a sunflower dress. Thankfully, there is one good design, and that would be Evening. At first, the two colors turned me off, but I kinda like the sunflower's placement. It feels very intentional. The shoes are pretty great too, a rare gem in this garbage bag. The next Dressia is the Hibiscus. This one is a fun, tropical design. The entire series comprises beachwear with hibiscus patterns. Seeing this really takes me back to Shiny Smile. Unfortunately, this kind of brings out how the flower type is a bit too literal, with some of the outfits coming out rather plain. Resort is my personal favorite due to its delicious orange palette, but I do think the others are kinda plain. If you've seen one, you get all the rest. I would much rather move on to the most design of all time. Silky Lily is such a fun Dressia. What even is this? The funniest part is that in the anime we do see it at the tea party. It's amazing that this sentient flower petal has a social life. The Lily series has really pretty dresses. I love the wraps around the waist and the wide lily shape of the skirt. It's not in the swing art, but the shoes are pretty too. There's also a lily texture running down the dress. It works better here because the dress has enough real lilies to keep it from feeling cheap or simple. The pastel colors are the cherry on top. It's perfect. The second design is an odd mix of delicate and casual elements. I think my main issue with this one are the textures. The thicker fabric doesn't look good when paired with the softer details. The colors don't help much either. Much like the rest of the flower types, the remaining designs are lacking in detail. Out of all the attributes, flower type has the most normal looking clothes. While I'm a fan of happiness, Smooth looks incredibly unfinished. I don't think this would have made it to the game in a previous generation. At least cheerful is a nice color. The final flower series we're going to cover in the game is Iris. I think it's got really cute bangs. I'm impressed with how many diverse flowers they were able to incorporate. Let's start with Message Iris. It's a pretty purple dress with an iris-shaped skirt and sleeves. I love the sleeve texture as well as the scallops in the shoes. It's definitely the most effective use of its flower. The darker palette is really cool too, making it look mysterious. The other variants are really pretty too. Zeal Iris is a pink recolor with purple petals. I'm glad they kept the tights and the skirt is overall pretty creative. There's also a second design with a shimmery top and a flowery scallop. Exotic has dark panels but also uses socks which leaves an awkward thigh gap. This design just doesn't look right without the tights. The final Iris is Freezing, which is an odd mix of blue and yellow. It's very weird but it works. I like the vibrant skirt, great palette. In the promotional coords, we find the cutest little Dressia yet. The plumeria is so precious, it's like a little fairy. I'm in love with the swing art. If Aria was a Dressia, this is what she would be. At first I expected its skirt to be the whole dress, but the real design is a lot more fun than that. The whole outfit has a swirling feeling due to the silver wing decal on the chest and the swirling petal patterns on the skirt. The flower details pair well with the white lining to create a really foamy texture. It's a tropical outfit that reflects an aquamarine sea. The designer's restraint with color keeps the abundant flowers from overwhelming the palette. It's all very cohesive. So with that said, let's finish this with the final flower type in the entire game, Petal Cherry Blossom. It is a fantastic design. The flower print works here because the golden edges make it feel more intentional. They frame the art of this design pretty well. While its pieces are rather simple, I do think it's an appropriate send-off for the flower type. The Cosme type is based on cosmetic items and is one of the most unique attributes. The designs seem to pull from a more vintage mod style and primarily use jewel tones. The premier Dressia is haute couture. I'd like to apologize in advance for my pronunciation because most of these series are in French. We're gonna do our best and power through it. The premier Dressia is haute couture mirror, and it's a beautiful moth with mirror glass wings. I love the stained glass art mixed in. It's pretty cool. A lot of us thought this would be like material color due to the mosaic theme. The outfit itself is a white pantsuit with retro style. The black top and pant stripes lead you down the outfit to the black shoes, which feature a sleek gold buckle, mosaic heels, and mirror strips. The reflective trim on the pants is more contentious, as it adds visual noise to some pretty complete looking pants. There's a lot of classy detail in the belts, the cuffs, and the cropped gloves. It's a very new and unique design. Pants are pretty rare in PRs, and the mixture of mosaics and mirrors feels like an evolution of material color style. I hope Aikatsu Academy pulls from vintage styles as well. The rare form of this design is a classy fur mini dress. The mosaic around the waist adds weight, which really accentuates its roundness. I'm in love with the thick black lines of the Mirror series. It's also innovative. The rest of the Mirror series are similar dresses. Gold and silver are self-explanatory, and Identity has a maroon colorway with silver accents. I want to compare it to Favorite since they're both stronger colors, but the cold purple feels more appropriate for the Mirror theme than this warm shade of maroon. Unlike the rest, gold and silver also receives second designs. For gold, it's a formal spin on the concept with a skirt that resembles the Bright series, a little tame in my opinion. Silver retains the sleek design with a stylish coat. I am obsessed with these shapes. It is so geometric and it's one of the strongest series in the whole game. The next Dressia we meet is Modern O. I don't think that's correct, but we'll keep it in. Modern O is a firefly with a striped abdomen. I'm obsessed with how fashionable it is. The necktie, the moppy hair, it's perfect. I've come to love the Dressia so much over this series. Let's start with Modern Eau de Parfum. I'm obsessed with a high contrast palette. The neon stockings are a highlight and the gradient skirt is gorgeous. It's really good. The white and green on the top keep the blouse interesting, while the ascot matches the skirt's colors. I'm really obsessed with this design. I was pretty shocked when I saw it, but I hope you can see why now. There's also a PR version of this, which is a layered dress paired with white pants. I'm not gonna lie, this one was a little bit of a letdown. Pairing these bright colors with harsh edges makes it feel more like a printing error than an actual design. Regardless, I won't pretend the gloves aren't a 10. I could buy into this with a different color palette, but that top is really testing me. Eau de Cologne is a plaid mini dress with two patterns. One is a tight skirt and one is scalloped. It's giving office siren to me secretary vibes. The shoes keep the silver stripes and golden heels. Very classy. It's similar to Eau de Toilette, which has a tiled pattern that works really well with the bright colors. The whole attribute seems to be about taking simple designs and structured patterns and elevating them with these jewel tone palettes. I think it's a very strong series. Finally, there's Eau de Fragrance, which is a short blue dress with a dark stripe. I know it's quite simple, but I do love the colors on this. The bright tones really elevate this. The shoes especially look amazing. While they don't share a name in terms of series, it's clear that Spring Cologne is also a part of this. I love the girly flower print on the stockings and the cute pink dress. The grey sleeves are quite unique but also match the stockings. For such a cold attribute, I'm impressed they could pull off a nature motif this well. The final Cosme series are the nails. I love the top hat being a cap and the round abdomen bottle. This translates into dresses with round skirts and shiny polished textures. First we'll cover Retro and Blue Sky. Both of these are striped dresses in bright neon shades. I prefer Retro due to its fun skirt though. Blue Sky also has a second design with a casual top and wide skirt. I'd love to see this as Sala's everyday look. Black Knight is quite similar with two black designs. I would have preferred if they went with shimmery gold instead of the sparse gold on these dresses. There's a lot of potential here. All these culminate in the best design, Pink Gel Nail. Pink Gel Nail is a dark sleek top with gold decorations and a rounded shimmery skirt. I think the texture excels here. It's balanced by the stark black top that's got gold lined scallops at its edge and a hot pink collar to match. The pink panel leads your eye down to the skirt, which is the clear highlight of the design. The purple ruffles are also a cute detail. The second design has a black bust with long sleeves and a frilly magenta skirt. The colors and types remind me of Spicy Agaha. I'm pretty fascinated by the transparent heels though. I'm not sure where they were going with that. The purple ruffle is at its best, taking center stage on the bust. I really like the golden lining. It truly is the pinnacle of the series. The final Cosme type we'll cover is Glorious Cleopatra. This is part of the Egyptian campaign and is entirely gold. The design is filled with golden medallions as accessories. I like the pieces, but it's hard to judge the design without the cultural knowledge to fully analyze it. I'll say it's alright, but it may not be culturally accurate. This is also the perfect segue into the third era of the fairy type. Part of the Egypt-themed campaign, we get two new Dressia. Both of these are based in Egyptian mythology, but the designs are variations of the Fenrir and the Katsid. Pleasure Bastet is inspired by the Egyptian goddess of protection and pleasure. Based off a few images, they seem to share a dark coat and golden jewelry. I love the bright green eyes and the decorated tail. The dress design is the most unique we've seen so far. It's a shimmery gold dress with a white shawl and lots of green jewelry. I love the heart shape in both the bust and jewels, but also how creative the skirt is. The pale yellow fabric tames the bright palette, and the horizontal bands keep it interesting. I appreciate the monotone color palette, but it does feel like green was a better contrast for brown on the Dressia, and it's less effective on the dress. I think a brown base could have helped to push this golden palette. Night Anubis is the second Egyptian chord and it's based off Anubis, god of funeral rites. It's a pretty dark concept, but Hana's just smiling in the art, so. The Dressia does resemble Anubis canine nature, and given my limited knowledge, we're just gonna assume this is somewhat accurate. The dress itself has a striped bust and a diamond tile pattern. I'm obsessed with the contrast. The top is quite busy, so the dress is much simpler to balance that. I also love the golden anklet and the blue striped design. These are pretty good designs, but mostly due to their contrast. Unfortunately, we only have two new Dressia, those being the Leviathan and the Carbuncle. The Leviathan is a cute little fish with a long heart chain for a tail. It was in Scorpio, remember when I said we'll see this again? It's the first aquatic Dressia and does a better job at retaining the fairy aesthetic, while also expanding the type's concepts. Marine Leviathan is a fun blue two-piece that takes full advantage of the golden tail and floral detail of the fin. I love the blue gradient as we get deeper into the design. The shapes are all relatively cohesive, and the shoes are really unique. The remaining variants are pretty unique too, especially both versions of Aqua Leviathan. They're relatively plain on first sight, but really stand out for their colors. In contrast, Storm is a lot stranger, both for being magenta and introducing regal elements. You could really tell that toward the end, Dressia came first with a lot of the later designs looking out of place. The final fairy Dressia we'll cover is the Carbuncle. It's inspired by South American folklore and based on a legendary species said to contain riches of some sort. The Dressia seems to match the more popular depictions, with it being a somewhat feline creature with a gem on its forehead. It's certainly mystical, but it lacks the simple palette of earlier fairy types. There's two major designs across 4 variants, so let's start with the rare, Peace Carbuncle. It's a pretty cute peplum top paired with shorts. The bust using the neck fur is cute, but it also kinda looks uncomfortable. They do a lot to work in the tail gradient, which is nice though. There's 3 recolors, but I would say Happy Carbuncle is the best. It feels closest to the fairy type palette. The second design is a wide dress with very little Dressia inspiration. I love the concept and shape, but what happened to all the Dressia parts? It's such a girly dress, and the green pattern pairs really well with the brown bag and shoes. I also love the white socks, but I'm not a fan of the bib-like design on the bust. It is a strange choice, but overall a very casual girly fit. Between the 2 recolors, I'm picking Seek for its homely winter vibes. So that's the final fairy Dressia from part 4, and it really shows a struggle to keep the type relevant. I think the initial Dressia had a more united theme, but as soon as the Phoenix came in, everything went off balance. I feel there was way too many at the start, and given the concepts in later parts, they should have spread them out a little. The girly pastel concepts were the best, and what I think of when I remember this type. Despite its current irrelevance, the fairy type does go out with one final PR. Weave Baihu is inspired by the white tiger from Chinese mythology, one of the 4 symbols of Chinese constellations. It's got a pretty intricate design with its winged paws and striped tail. Very beautiful creature. I feel like Weave Baihu recaptures the magic that earlier Dressia were going for. The dress design is a beautiful teal dress with lots of gold and white accents. The layering on this is just perfect. I adore the jagged trims on the skirt, as well as the snow designs on the frilly top. The soft detail in the wispy belt and fluffy hearts on the skirt add just the right amount of texture to this dress. I think the lace down the middle is a little lazy, but overall it's pretty good. The shoes are especially great with the gold-lined cuffs and the snowy texture. It is an amazing design, and I would do anything to see this in the show's CGI. So I want to use this final section to wrap up all the remaining Dressia series. First up, we've got the metal series from the music type. Rise Metal is an edgy guitarist, quite literally, with sharp lines and harsh neon textures. I think it carries the metal style pretty well. My personal favorites are Psyche and Metal in both designs. Blue is fine, but I would prefer a darker shade. Rise also has an epic second design with a red jacket and a neon flame. This one is so cool. The final music Dressia has a really cute story behind it. Shizuna Nagao, the actress portraying Kyoko, actually designed this one. It has a very unique style, and my favorite detail is musical scale cape. What Dressia would you guys design? Virgo is a cute frilly maiden with a beautiful design. I love how it's posed like a mermaid in the swing, and wafts midair in the B-side like it's underwater. The Dressia itself has 3 variants. The general design is a long blue dress with pearl frills on the chest and scalloped frilly edges. The choker keeps it from feeling bare, and the frilly design is interesting. Rain Virgo is my personal favorite. Grace Virgo is the rare, which features sleeves and a pretty butterfly coral palette. The white top is very refined, and I love the white butterfly design. It really is a beautiful series. Funnily enough, the game didn't last long enough to go through the whole zodiac, but we do get at least 7. The final horoscope series is Capricorn. Comp Capricorn is a scaly dress with golden lining paired with purple shoes. There's amazing contrast between the dark violet dress and the delicate white mini dress. The gold accents act as stars in the skirt's night sky, as well as highlights on the top. The blue fish scales are a pretty detail, but without another strong blue element, they just seem out of place. I blame this on the shoes and gloves for using this bizarrely saturated shade of purple. Regardless, it is a very pretty dress. Natural is the boring red color, while deep is the fun blue one. My favorite would have to be intense though. What a hellish color palette. The goat looks like it's made of brimstone. I'm obsessed. Now this is a gothic design. The final story Dressia is Oz. This one is very similar to Noble Leo but has tamer colors. The image of the lion perched on the book is kinda sending me, it's just very unnatural. She already looks kinda like a paper boy in this, doesn't she? I like the lion print and the red jewel motif. Scarecrow Oz is a dustier palette with a clear farmy vibe. Between the patches and stitched collar, it's clearly designed with intent. There's also a second design which is a boring Christmas dress. Tinplate is probably my favorite with its really clean palette. The second design is also pretty close to the Sleeping series. It is cute that the Dressia art mirrors the design though. Finally, there's Wizard Oz, which is a pretty plaid outfit with a soft palette. The shoes throw me off though, maybe a duller brown would have been better. Before the final series of the sweets type, I'd like to cover the pink sugar donut. It is the cutest little thing and full of Yuna energy. This type in general would have been perfect for her. I think it's a perfect casual outfit for Anne, and the donut accessories are really fun. The ice cream series is incredibly pastel and takes me back to Rainbow Berry Parfait. The Dressia art is perfect. Mix Ice is a jacket skirt combo with ice cream print. It's a good design, I like the colors, I just think it's odd to abandon the attributes design logic so late in the game. Where's the ice cream skirt? I was promised an ice cream skirt. Thankfully, it's not a pattern. Watermelon makes up for this with a pretty yummy palette. This really would be the protagonist's type in pretty much any other series. Finally, there's Rum Raisin with a fun skirt, while Ramune is monotone. It is a very good series to end the type on. So there it is, every single Dressia from the first 8 attributes. I hope these videos help you appreciate Planet's Dressia system. I think there's a lot of depth that gets lost due to the lack of art and promotion for this series. Finding these images was pretty hard, but I'm happy to leave this where it is and come back to cover the rest much later. I'm not gonna lie, this was a pretty tough series to produce, but I did want to finish it because there's a bigger Aikatsu video I can't make until I've properly explained my thoughts on all the fashion. So what did you think of Planet's fashion? I've highlighted my personal favorites, so now I'd love to hear yours. Until then, see you guys next time.